Welcome to another program of Uncommon Sense. Today, we are going to continue our discussion and finish all of the things that we said that we were going to do about the third eye and opening the third eye. And it would be something that would be also wrapping up on a lot of the exercises that you've asked me about. And those of you who have done this exercise will find that it's actually not so hard to get done and finished along the way as well. So, and besides, if you wanted to chat with me, there's also an opportunity to come into StreamYard and to be able to be part of the show. If you have questions or that you want to ask live on the air. Also, if you wanted to be able to express your point of view. We're going to combine the discussion about turning on or using more of your third eye apparatus. I call it apparatus because most of the brain is involved. And also at the same time discussing how you can experience more of the feminine energy. It doesn't mean that you have to grow breasts and start wearing bras. I'm talking about the females who practice this will feel their own power, and the empowerment begins on the inside when you realize how much power you actually have over the world around you, and that you now don't have to think in terms of, oh, I'm so little, I'm play a passive aggressive role in your relationships, in your life. You don't have to do that. You're empowered, but you don't have to be manly about being empowered. There's a big difference. Femininity is a very touch and go, wrong choice of words, a touchy issue. And we'll talk about that as well. So let me welcome people in the room. Chaffee, welcome. And Dharampal, welcome. That sounds familiar. I think I know you. Josephine, welcome. I got it through my Izvestia. What does that mean? Good morning, Mel. Excited to hear this live for the first time. You're most welcome, Chaffee. It's my pleasure to serve. Menika from England, my cousin is listening. You're the niece. Nice to meet you, Dharampal. And Lawrence, of course, welcome. And there's a lot more people here. So if you have any questions for me now, a good place to do, Thomas, welcome to the show as well. And a good thing to do is for you to be able to type in what it is you want to ask, and I'll be able to answer all the questions live here. If you want to ask it directly, the Skype doesn't work still with the old computer I have, but soon all the computers will go live and everything will be okay as well, and things will work out. So just to let you know, today we're finishing our discussions about the characteristics of feminine energy, which is the yin energy, and there's nothing small about it. In fact, it's the most powerful form of energy to be able to manifest. A lot of people used it in the past. That's why we equated Wicca, or the study of the wise, or the medicine of the wise, or the knowledge of the wise. That's what Wicca is. herbalism, things that have to do with your synchronicity with uh, um, the herbs of the earth, the vibrations of the earth. All of those things also come into this discussion that we're talking about. And earlier, 2 weeks ago, we had discussed Stoicism and how it is all related in the raising of the third eye energy, in the raising of the feminine energy, and also in how to live using certain rituals that will bring out the female energy as well. My mother is watching. Hey, Mamji, welcome. And so now let's get started. And if you have any questions, please put them down here. Or I'm looking at my telephone over here, which is now on silent mode, but I can read all the messages in Facebook. I cannot read the messages, however, that are coming in on YouTube, because I need to learn how to split my screen, and I don't know how to do that. So it's a little bit tough. So we're going to go ahead and do this anyway. So again, welcome to the show. Let's continue while I'm waiting for the questions. What are the 7 characteristics of feminine energy that we had discussed? Yesterday, we talked about creativity, and the more creative you are, or the more you involve yourself in creative pursuits, whether you're making something, painting something, creating something out of thin air, even inventions. They can be anything related to engineering. It could be related to medicine. It could be related to arts and crafts. It could be related to something that has to do with household utensils and things like this. Anything that brings out a creative energy or a different way to see things increases that feminine energy, that creativity. Feminine energy is related to the energy of birth, the mind that gives birth, the mind that pours forth something that needs to be expressed. And so you express an idea, you express a feeling, you express a thought, you express also sometimes through prose, through writing, through music. You can start to create. A lot of the music you're going to hear now are all this music that comes from Mateja Jan, spelled Jahn. He's a Slovenian composer, genius level guy, lives in the forest in Slovenia and eats berries and hunts squirrels. And that's just for breakfast. Haven't asked him what he has for lunch yet, but that's a whole different story. You can also express your female energy through cooking, taking care of children. Wow, that demands a lot of creativity. You've got to be really creative with these minds. You cannot just command them to do something, because they don't work with a remote. Those of you with kids will know, when they get into their teenage years, then you begin to realize why animals eat their young. So it's a whole different story altogether. But you see, they had foresight. That's a whole different story. Oh, this one is going to be trouble. Honey, I have lunch. And so they work things out. It's a whole different world. So anyway, to start to be able to do simple things like even gardening, painting, like I said before, singing, dancing, any creative pursuit will help you dive into the spiritual aspects of creativity, which also then releases that whole form of feminine energy. This works for, I finished that sentence. This works for male and female people as well. Shirley, welcome to the show. Allah has joined us. I mean, how many people can say Allah is watching this show? But she is. The warrior spirit within you is one of the other characteristics of feminine energy. It's contrary to what it seems like, yang energy and fighting and all of that. The divine feminine, well, can be pretty badass. So when you take a look at who is depicted in the goddess Kali, say for instance in the Hindu variant, that's not she looks ferocious. She takes on the mantle of a wild beast and devours, not just kill the enemy. How? Kill the enemy? That's not them. Let's devour them. Let's have them for lunch. That's how badass the female energy can be. So there's a warrior aspect. Hence, you refer to Xena, the warrior princess, and then you have who's that woman in Game of Thrones? I forget the name, but I was watching one or two of those programs. That's very interesting. She and Aquaman, really? Are you serious? So there's a whole bunch of stuff as well. Charan, welcome to the room as well. I'm not suggesting that you be like female Black Widow spiders, and start to emasculate your partners and start eating them directly after sex. Although for some of you, I shouldn't finish that sentence. But anyway, the point is, I'm not trying to make you into fearsome warriors. But what I am trying to do is to tell you that the feminine energy has so much benevolence to it, generosity to it, that it is known sometimes as the giver, not so much even the receiver of that energy. And sometimes, depending on how you are towards that whole feminine energy, it is the taker of life as well, not just the giver of life. So you got to be very careful, because when we tend to imprison this masculine energy with possessiveness and jealousy, and we try to dominate and emasculate, the people because of this our protective nature. If you come near my this and that, or my property, or my, women were treated as chattel at one time in life. And so they would go out and kill the enemy because they would even look sideways at their women. If you look at the tarot cards that people have and everything like that, the female energy is represented by the death card. In many ways, this card represents profound change. It's not about being complacent and stepping into the plate and taking what is yours and dying along the way. It's working towards alignment with your truest selves and your divine nature, because the divine feminine energy is the greatest creative force of all time. And if God were a person, I think that person would probably be female. My guess, my nature as well. But you can take me up on that, but we both would have to die to find out. So the warrior spirit, the feminine energy, is subtle yet steady and never ending. That's why it's always compared to water. Water can ultimately cut rock, but it can do it steadily, patiently over a period of time. And so that kind of feminine, let me try it once again. That was Tibetan, for those of you who understood Tibetan. Let's go back to English. The feminine energy is as powerful as a stream of water over a period of time, steadily, with patience, cutting away, chipping away, until finally it, with persistence, achieves its goal. That's what it's all about, the constant struggle, and yet you survive. Overcoming, and yet you survive. But while you're doing that, you are in perpetual evolution, and you're changing all the time. So always listen to that inner spirit within you, because it illuminates you over something that happens in your life. Now, remember, if things don't happen to you, we are co-creating them by the very things which we're thinking. Your thoughts decide which direction you want to go in. Your thoughts decide how you want to feel about what people say to you, or what people do to you, or what people say or do by themselves. Makes no difference if you don't allow it inside of you. But if you allow it inside of you, then it takes root at some point. There are a lot of people that will cause pain to people they love. They feel justified doing it, and that's okay. Everybody has a good reason for murdering somebody. Everybody has a good reason for causing pain to somebody. Everybody does. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to be a bastard and hurt my mother-in-law. I'm going to be an idiot and asswipe, and I'm going to hurt my grandmother. Whatever the case is, no, they always have a good reason. And when you listen to a court case, for instance, you're going to hear those good reasons. And so can you become that feminine aspect of that judge who sits there, not belligerent as hell, pushing his motives, his directives, and whatever his thoughts are and his feelings on the case, but objectively sit back impartially receive all information without judgment, take a look at the whole thing and say, wow, guilty, you die, you live, whatever the case might be. So with that in mind, understand when things fall apart in your life, there's usually a higher purpose that we're not able to see. What to us appears like chaos is not. You see, everybody's into this conspiracy thing with 5G and the virus and everything else. I mean, look, if you are the government and you see that there is an opportunity to use the deadliness of this particular virus, whether it's part of a bioweapons deployment program or whether it's an accident that's released by some lab in some place, US or Wuhan, makes no difference, because whatever you hear is the official narrative is never the truth anyway. And so you got to be able to understand that. But if you are in government and you see this and you're smart, you will use this to your advantage to gain more power, to gain more control over the people, to decide what is good news and what is bad news, what is true and what is not true. You get to decide numbers, you get to decide courses of action, you get to decide all of this. So that kind of thing is probably already taking place. But it seems like chaos, but it's not. There are things going on. Like, say, for instance, climate change is not as easy as you think it is. A lot of people think that, oh, climate change is happening because, the ozone layer is getting less and less and it's getting thinner. And so as a result, there's more carbon in the air and this and this. That's a good theory. But what about looking inside the earth? What about looking at studies being done by people who are losing their lives because they're getting close to the truth that the earth's core is slowly slowing down over the course of the last 100 years? I mean, that's wild by evolutionary constraints of all kinds. Can you imagine that? If it slows down, then we lose our atmosphere. So it looks as if there are biocentric, what should we call them? Vortexes, biovortexes around the planet, maybe about 12 of them. And it looks like they're situationally arranged. Exactly by whom or by what is conjecture, but they exist. And there are aluminum isotopes inside of them that are irradiated, and to such a level that they cause magnetic disturbances, and they act like brakes for the Earth slowing down, especially moving against when most of the mantle is moving against a rotating core. What happens when that happens? Well, it blows out the atmosphere into space. And as a result, solar winds, a small solar wind can come and blow the atmosphere away. And that's exactly what happened on Venus and exactly what happened on Mars. If you take the time to study, you will start to see that. I know it's never been heard of before, but pay attention to that, because that's where a lot of my research is leading me as well in Bulgaria. You're asking me what I'm doing in Bulgaria? Well, one of these magnetic anomalies is right over the Black Sea. What it is, I have an idea. Where it's located, we have some definite clues, and these are recognized as energy centers, and they are also irradiated, which means that there's a lot of radiation coming from all this. So it looks like Mother Earth has, what can we call them? Chakras? Not sure. And in this last decade, all of these quote unquote energy centers, confluxes of energy, seem to be working on some principle that we are as of yet unaware of. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that we don't have something to describe it. The first person to describe it, use it, utilize it, create a frame for it and a theory wins the Nobel Prize for discovering a new state of matter. And who knows? Again, is it affecting our biology? Yes. Excuse me, because you are energy fields. That's why it's important for us to talk about, you want to manipulate the energy and your reality, around you, first of all, you have to have a solid mind. If your mind is mm, not stable, if your safe words, if your mind is not stable, if your mind is has difficulty trying to figure out what is real from what is imagined, if you imagine things happen to you as a result of what somebody else did, that's called extreme paranoia, and you take action, and in your mind you cause pain by taking such action, then you need help. You really need help, some kind of mental, emotional stability. And the people around you who are just trying to be nice to you and kowtow to you because they don't want you to kill yourself because you've threatened to do that, are not helping at all. Anyway, there has to be, you have to understand that you have to take accountability for everything that happens in your life. It didn't happen to you. You allowed it to happen. Yes, there's a lot of pain. There's a part of you that can take that pain and transmute it into something that is very powerful, an ability to deal and repel such pain. You may be absolutely poor as a result of meeting some people, as I did, 4 wonderful Singaporeans. Oh no, one was Malaysian. Took everything I had about less than 10 years ago with this wonderful idiotic thing I built that was trying to create a movie. And I found out that I could do it all on my own for less than 1/10 of what I paid out to everybody. It doesn't matter. It's a learning lesson, and now allows the next movie to be made for a lot less. And you know who your friends are also at that time. So to work with this kind of energy that allows you to be mentally stable and then to let go of all the people who hurt you, you think you hurt you, and the people who have stolen from you, all of that, well, it's when you let go of all that, it allows all your energy to be focused on the task at hand, the improvements you want to see in your life, the energy you want to work with to create those manifestations and miracles and fun stuff that is more fun than you could ever hope to be. And going back and trying to fix all that shit is trying to look in a toilet after you just had a big, just flush it all away. Really, just flush it all away. So you got to accept this fact that to work with this energy, you have to learn to identify some kind of a lesson. Maybe it's trying to teach you that this is not the correct way to do stuff. Like, say, for instance, if somebody, say in Thailand, a woman named Michelle, who is a business partner, enters into a business arrangement with me and doesn't pay at the end. I mean, my God keeps all of the money we earn, all of the profits. So what some people would say, and this is the wrong thing, some people would say, don't trust anyone, especially don't trust anyone from Thailand. That's stupid. That's not the lesson. The lesson is pay attention to what didn't work before. Do not have handshake agreements, have written agreements. Wow, makes more sense. And so that when people have this in front of them, they go, hey, look, lawsuit, pay, so on and so forth. Or the lesson is, one less person that you don't want to work with, and that's good. But what lesson did it teach you? It taught you that don't leave all the accounting with create a third-party accounting system, maybe a payment tracking system that works. And that way, maybe an affiliate system where they get their percentages and all of that, because she was supposed to get 30%. My God, that 30% of profits, that's a lot. After paying all costs, that's a lot. As generous can become. So again, the question is, what do you learn from all the things that go wrong in your life? Your wife left you for another man. That's great. Fantastic. Here's an opportunity for you to learn what it is she didn't like about you. Oh, she didn't like the way you said this, or the way you did this, or the way you lived about this, and makes no difference. And you find out and you go, I can be a better man. I can be a better person. I should react with kindness, with softness, with this, with that. Okay, that's fine. But if you keep focusing on what just left you, or who just left you, then all you see is the back of their heads and the backside, and say, "Oh, which one am I going to miss the most, the backside or the back of the head?" Da, 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 da. That's stupid. That's focusing on something that's already gone or on its way out. Uh, they are. I don't know if you realize it's 7.5, 8 billion people in the world. 4 billion of them are women. So if you're a man whose woman has left you, as the question you had asked me before, there are 4 billion more willing to meet you and would like to know more about you. Hey, you haven't even started. So if somebody doesn't want to be with you, bless them, wish them well. Sayonara, goodbye, have a good time. Hey, how can I help you improve your relationship? And you become bigger than you can ever hope to be. And so you become a bigger soul, a bigger person, and the next thing you know, you're not so attached to outcomes. You're just wanting to live the moment and have whatever you have now. If it's a love, I thank God for everything I'm about to receive right now. If it's food, I thank God for everything I'm about to eat right now. If it's, you know what I mean. You could go on and on and on, and I won't bore you with all of that. Everything in our life we've attracted in our experience, and instead of resisting, well, let's find the gratitude in every situation, and which is what I do. I seek the gratitude. Yes, sometimes I can see it coming, and I go, "Oh my God, today is not going to be a good day." And you can almost tell sometimes. Human behavior is very easy. You hear from little words, "I need to talk to you." How many men have hated that statement? Oh my God, that sounds terrible. Really? Okay, can I just enjoy my beer first? Or da 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 da. And then that's why they take a long time to come home from work. That's why now during the COVID crisis, people are faced with each other 24/7. It's not funny because there's a lot of abuse that's going on as well. Physical, domestic violence is on the increase. And I wish there was some way in which I can help people, because it's hard to turn lead into gold when you are being beaten to death. So it's very, very tough. I wish those guys were listening so that they'll be able to fire up the love that brought them together to begin with. We were talking about how the feminine energy in the Hindu culture is represented by Kali Ma. This Indiana Jones movie would make big fun of it. Sometimes known as the Dark Mother. She's the god of creation and preservation and destruction. She personifies this divine energy, and yet she represents this deified aspect that is also within all of us, rather than a deity that's worshipped outside of us. All of these gods and all these representations are representations of what we could be or what we aim to become. Apotheosis is a process. Apotheosis is a man or a woman becoming God or a goddess. So a man becoming a god, a woman becoming a goddess. So when you move into goddess mind or God mind, then you start to begin to realize that you see things from earth perspective, which is monkey versus monkey, my banana, not your banana, so on and so forth, to they have many banana trees, guys. Look at that. They're outside the plantation. Are you paying attention? Hello, stop fighting. And people then realize that there's all this abundance that surrounds us. So even though Kali Ma represents this deified aspect of what is within all of us, sometimes she's also depicted standing over her dead consort. That's a good word, consort, not partner. And the consort is Shiva. And she devours his entrails with her yoni, her sexual organs, and sexually devours his penis as a result. Wow, that's quite the idea when you keep it in your head. This is like the tendency of the female energy in Black Widow spiders and what they do with their mates as well. So anyway, in life and birth in India, Kali Ma plays a huge role In the rest of the world, Kalima is known as a life preserver, life giver, a destroyer. And sometimes over the centuries, this aspect has also been destroyed. So men fear this kind of power that comes from women because women don't know their strength. So as a result, men use their physical strength and dominance to overcome and to contain this power that's within women. So we went once upon a time, less than 50,000 years ago, we were a matriarchal race on this planet. Literally, as we start to come out of Cro-Magnon and start to become Homo sapien, we start to realize that a part of us worships the female and the female apparatus and the female body as a result to be able to bring forth new life, new warriors into the world, new community members, and so on and so forth. And men feared this as a result, and they felt emasculated. After all, the involvement is only 7 seconds, and the rest of the 9 months is the female that does it. So we moved from a maternalistic society to a paternalistic society, and so where men began to have the power, and women were subjugated at some point. So as we know, there's always a dual nature to everything, like the law of duality. But we will talk more about that at some point. Another characteristic of feminine energy is a deep sense of justice, a deep sense of balance and morality, to even the score a little bit. You don't like to watch people becoming the underdogs and to start paying attention to them. Chaffee Wood says, I've heard that responsibility is responding to your ability. Somebody putting words together. How cool is that? That's a very nice thing. Zarina, welcome. My dad also is watching. Hey, Babji. Ayusa Korn. Her name sounds like a question, doesn't it? Ayusa Korn or Ayusa Zucchini? Which one do you do? I'm making fun. You know I am. I hope you know I am. So regardless, that's one less viewer in this whole thing. You have to choose to believe sometimes that you've been programmed to believe certain things as you grew up. If you can break out of those beliefs and begin to realize and question everything, then you begin to start to realize the true nature of life, the true nature of everything. Opening your third eye apparatus means you want to see what is real. You want to see things as they are, not as you are. To be able to do that, you have to put your ego aside, because you have accepted a certain way of belief as you come on through life, that God is there and devil is there. But then again, if you go through, the earth is round. So if you go down, at some point down on the other side becomes up. So who's up and how far down do you go and how far up do you go? Because that's, as you look at the earth in space, you begin to realize that your up is actually sideways, maybe pointing to the moon or somewhere else. So all of that is all in people's brains at that time. Less than even 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, people were not educated the way they are. School was not readily available. There wasn't schools. There were discussion groups under trees. There were people who would teach them a particular skill as an apprentice. You would, if you wanted to heal people, be a doctor. There were no medical schools. There was just you apprenticing yourself to a person who was a biological mechanic, a person who looked after people, used herbs, used cutting tools made of obsidian, knew which organs were what, because you've examined a lot of dead ones and you try to create less dead ones and keep the live ones going. Same with mechanics. You apprentice yourself to a mechanic. Same with woodworkers. You apprentice yourself to a woodworker. And so as a result, you start to build and you start to recognize the belief structures you have and the realities you have. And then you begin to question them. If someone like me, a troublemaker, asks you to examine and re-examine your core belief, sometimes to the deepest levels, who's in charge of all of this? A greater force than you? perhaps, maybe a force that you don't yet comprehend. And what you think is magic is really science at work. What you think is divine providence could be neuroscience or a part of your creative unconscious mind that is somehow aware of 50,000 different bits of data, sensory data that comes to it, and extra sensory data. And so as a result, if I put you in a simple hypnotic trance and say, sleepy, 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 you're going sleepy, and then once you're in a mild trance even, and I ask you what you had for breakfast a year ago, you'd be able to tell me right down to the last little duck egg or snake egg that you ate, whatever it was, scrambled or whatever, and you'll be able to tell me how many grains of rice was in your plate. On top of that, you'll be able to tell me the exact temperature of that dish that you had and what coffee came with it and where the coffee came from and all of that. These kind of connections you don't pay attention to when you are consciously aware, but unconsciously aware. And therefore, people who have the most knowledge are not the people who read all these books. This is inconsequential. I mean, look, at some point you can pick up a book or look at it, think of a book, and that knowledge becomes yours. How? Because across all of this exosphere of energy that exists in the world, there seems to be a pattern. Rupert Sheldrake, the Nobel Prize winning biologist, concluded that there must be something called a morphogenetic field, and that this morphogenetic field is affected by our thoughts, and that we are connected to everyone else. Wait a minute, Carl Jung talked about this years ago, the collective unconscious mind, that at some level we're all connected. Now, if that feminine energy was inside of you and you excited to grow and you begin to realize your connections with everybody around you, well, guess what? At some point, your energy grows exponentially, and you begin, by that connection, feel that love. And some people, you don't have to feel that love. To some people, it's not necessary to love everybody. It's very difficult. Some people are just simply not lovable. Leave them behind in the trash heap of humanity. Consider that pig dung, wherever they are, and go forward to the fields that are more pleasant. People that love you still. People that care about you still. People that want to hear you still. People that want to buy you coffee still. All of these things are important when you pay attention to the positives and stop wasting time with the negatives. So again, examine your core beliefs, and then you begin to realize that you are not as they taught you as you started growing up in religious schools and some of these indoctrination schools. Wherever you are, you grew up in a communist country or a socialist democracy, whatever invention that is, and they want everybody to be rigid and everybody to be the same. Come on, think about it for a second. You are individually created. Your thumbprint at the airports, fingerprints, everything different. They use that now. Biometrics, they use this because you're all different from any other of the 7-8 billion people in the world. So what do you think? Inside, you also are literally completely different from any other human being there. But yet schools are tasked with making everybody the same. You must have the same knowledge, the same this, the same that, the same that. Take a look at media. Take a look at radio. The music on radio here is exactly the same as the English radio station in Malaysia, is exactly the same as the English radio station in Varna, Bulgaria, is exactly the same as the one in Chicago. The same songs are being played all over the world. And so people are indoctrinated to think that this is the only source of good music. But let me tell you, there are 100 million musicians, composers, artists that you don't know about who are creating gorgeous music. They're independent musicians. Some of them live in the middle of forests. But I will bring the music out, and I'll bring it to the whole world slowly, bit by bit by bit. There's more than just him. There's my friend in Italy, Alberto, who now is in Japan, going through a little bit of a tough time, but that's okay. He will win. He will get over this as well. And he's also a marvelous, gifted pianist. Um, so many people that I've met along the way, but you never heard of them because there is a programming that's going on, which is tasked to make everybody more or less the same. So that when you speak a particular language, talk about a particular composer and so on and so forth, you all know exactly what they're talking about. Easier to program the robots and the sheeple when they're all thinking along the same lines and the same words have the same meanings across many cultures. How about we start to differentiate the cultures again? How about we start to realize that within each culture is special music, special dances, special language nuances, special, so on and so forth, that we're not all speaking one language. We cannot. If we do, then it makes it very easy for you to be programmed by the powers that be. So if you access the divine feminine, you will tap into the collective, but you will tap it in your own individual way. You'll be able to tap into it in a way that expresses you clearly, and so and make you distinct from everybody else. So you heard a lot of people say you are unique. Yes, you are. But then I frustrate them when they say, Mel, you have to understand, you got to give your knowledge to the world. I said, look, my voice is drowned up there by a lot of people screaming at the top of their voices on stages in front of thousands of people. I said, yeah, but you are unique. I said, yes, I'm unique just like everybody else. But you see, the point is your uniqueness is yours specifically, which means that you have a part to play in the world. So do I. We have a part to play. Do I have all the answers? I have some. I've made more mistakes than you. And I know that sometimes when I access the divine feminine through meditation and to releasing and letting go and no longer catering to fear and what have you, just release and let go. Then I start to resort to letting go of the times when I start to debate, the merits of an idea, or even try to character assassinate somebody because I want to keep their money. And that's what people do. That's kind of crazy. And when you look at how money destroys relationships, that's where you see it. So there are very few people in this world that I can shake hands with. Very few. I can count them on my hand. My father was one of them, honorable to his word. Shake hands, it's a gentleman's agreement. We do this. Not a lot of people you can do that with. It doesn't mean that all people shouldn't be trusted. It just means that you just ran into that, nth person that you're supposed to meet before you do that. Just because a relationship doesn't work doesn't mean that that person is an asshole. No. It takes two people to create a situation. You could have saved it. You could have done something, but you chose not to. You grew tired. And you said to yourself, I've had enough. I want to experience something else. I want to experience someone else. I want to experience more happiness than I've ever experienced now. So as a result, you ask yourself, is a part of you not experiencing it because you are mentally conditioned to not deserve it? You feel that, if you work hard, people tell us, if you work hard, you'll achieve your goals. If you don't work hard and you're lazy, you will fail. How many people have heard that? That's not true. If you feel you deserve, you will step into it like you deserve. So Allah was asking me yesterday to talk about sales. Let me do it in one sentence. One story. I keep putting my tissue here. Oh, here it is. There was a woman named Allah, lived in the Philippines. Allah decided to go into real estate and sell real estate because she heard that you could make a lot of money from real estate. So she joined this wonderful firm in Manila, and where people are known to have phenomenal sales results because of the manager. So she started working there. First month goes by, nothing. Couldn't make the sale. Second month goes by, she makes no sales. She had a lot of sales calls, but no sale. Then she listens to this guy who talks on radio, Mel Gill, and he talks about feminine energy. And so she goes out there, goes, rah, 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 I can do it. I can kill it. I can make it happen. She practices this passive resistance sort of thing and becomes more strongly aware of stuff. But then inside was programming inside of her that said she didn't deserve. And so she was fighting that. Inside of her, there was programming that went on as she was a child that told her that, well, money and wealth only went to the people who were born to receive it, the people for whom it was their right, the people for whom they had the courage to take what it is they wanted. So Allah went and started working hard. 6 months goes by. She doesn't make a sale. But the manager, her manager, the manager of that real estate company, was making sale after sale, 2 sales a week, 3 sales a week, closing one after the other. And at the end of the 6 months, he knew that Allah had no money left to pay her rent. So he said to her, look, listen, I don't want to do the paperwork on this, but I just closed the sale today. Can you go down to, that part of the rich part of Manila where everybody lives? I used to know what it was called. What is it called? Where the Marriott Hotel is. Allah, if you're still listening, you can pipe in here and help me in that whole area. There's a wonderful name. All the super rich people are all there. And he said he sold a house there already. All you got to do is take the paperwork and just get them to sign, and I'll give you my commission. He was being very kind to Allah. And her name is Allah, by the way, A-L-A, not, yeah. I don't know which direction. But anyway, the point is, so she's happy. She said, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So she goes and takes the paperwork. And yeah, just remember, it's at 172 Pine Street, right? And so just go there, and there's Pine Street over there. And so she had to go over there, and she found her way to introduce herself to the couple that was already there. They looked and seemed a bit surprised that she was there, and so on and so forth. She introduced what she was doing, talked about the sale, talked about the house and selling the house and and everything else, and signed the thing, and she was very happy. An hour later, she was also quite pleased because now this commission from selling the house is going to pay a lot of bills for her. So she was very, very happy. So luckily she came by the office, gave the manager, said, here's that sale you wanted me to close for you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And so she started to pack her bags and go home. But then halfway through, as she was about to reach the door, the manager shouted at her and Allah, come back here for a second. I asked you to go to 172 Pine Street, but this is 127 Pine Street. She went to the wrong house. She just went to the wrong house. I said, she got the numbers mixed up. She was dyslexic a little bit. So she got the numbers mixed up. But what gave her that ability to sell that house instead of the one that she was supposed to go and close the deal at, 172, she went to 127, and the people she never knew, never heard about her company, never heard about any of this, had no intention to sell, finally decided to sell their house. How amazing is that? And list the house and and all of that. Because she went in, Allah, if you're still listening, she went in with the attitude that this was a done deal, that the manager had closed it somehow. It was going to be closed. She didn't expect any objections from anybody, didn't expect anybody to hit back. None of her programming in her head, I don't deserve, therefore I won't get, therefore I will say something or I will do something to sabotage this sale as a result. So none of that stuff played up because this was already done by a super salesperson. So you see, how you approach any relationship will determine the outcome of that relationship. Whether it's a sales relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a child parenting relationship, or whatever, worker to worker relationship, or what have you, a community member to community member. What are your thoughts about the outcome when you reach that loving relationship with someone? Is the outcome that you're expecting one of what's the word, screaming and distaste and negativity? And if you're expecting that, well, guess what? You're going to bring that into the relationship as well. If you are all about yourself instead of serving the other person, if you're all about your needs and how sad you are and how your life sucks and da 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 da, if you stop complaining about how your life sucks and just do a lot more sucking, you might be experiencing a better time. If you stop imagining the worst of an outcome and start to expect the best of that situation, then that is what also happens with your children. If you catch them doing things wrong and punish them for that, but you don't catch them doing things right, why don't you, for a change, catch them doing things right? If they do something right, just say, wow, good job. I saw what you just did. Awesome, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. Don't lose momentum. That'd be awesome. Long way to go. That's good. That's great. And if they fail and fall flat on face, okay, let's pick it up and let's try again. And so somewhere along the way, catch even your wife or your husband or whoever doing things right. Praise them for little things they do. Sometimes they may not be little things. I saved a life today. I gave mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to a leper. Ha, great. Da, da, da. So on and so forth. Congratulate them for all the things they do and the little successes, whatever they are. My father is watching. My father was so skinny. He was he kept comparing his stomach to mine and to everybody else around. Look at me, and I'm so sexy and this and that. Because of COVID, he's developing a stomach now. That's very cool. So now he and I have something to compare with. So so I'm having a little bit of fun where that's concerned as well. And so he's looking more filled out and less. He works out 3 times a week. Holy crap! Without the the coronavirus, one little virus, not very much bigger than a can't even complete the sentence. Starts to create a loss of muscle and so on and so forth. But now he's gaining it all back. So he's doing a lot of work in the garden as well. So anyway, if you have any questions for it, wow, an hour goes by so quickly. Man, if you have any questions for me, now's a good time to ask. The several characteristics of female energy is when you start to get a stronger awareness of things and feelings and people around you, your EQ starts to rise as well, because this is a very big one in the 7 characteristics I told you exist in the female energy form. Being aware of your own emotions and how you react to other people. Pay attention to that, because this is important. Know also what is the source. Where do they emanate from, your feelings in your body? Because that is probably the same place you also hold it. It could be the heart. You will have heart issues. If you be in the gut area, you will have stomach issues and so on and so forth. So you start to pay attention to that. How it's neutralized. People asking me how I heal them. Well, I first determine if that energy is not negative but positive. I don't think that way, but I think in terms of like negative and positive, like a battery, if you will, a polarized. So what I do is I I put the opposite of whatever is expressing itself there. It's a yin sort of feeling, energy, or it's a yang sort of energy. And so I neutralize that. And then the first sense that they get is a lack of pain. And then after that, the body can heal more easily. Sometimes you take pride in being vulnerable and much more intimate with each other as a couple if you're more vulnerable. This when you express your vulnerability and express the fact that, you know, sometimes I feel blank threatened by you, sometimes I feel resistance whenever da da da, sometimes I da da da, can you help me with this, because it's very important. We're also very, very sexual beings, just to let you know. There's no definitive line really between a strictly heterosexual woman and a sexually fluid woman, but you have to understand that this for men it works a little bit differently. On the other hand, men tend to be more polar in their choices and more polar in their reactions. A lot of men are discouraged from experiencing and understanding their feelings. Big boys don't cry, all of those kind of things. And so therefore they remain disconnected with their source and wherever their source is. So holding on to anger, a lot of people, not letting go starts to create disease as well for a lot of people. So you have to start to pay attention to that. As a result of expressing yourself in various different ways, creatively and otherwise, you tend to have a very many-sided personality, and so there's a part of the feminine nature that is multifaceted that way. So along with the different roles that you play, and again, most women are or feminine energy people, I should say, are more multitasking, because this can exist in the male as well. Along with the roles that you play multiple roles, and you play them all well. And sometimes you don't, so it becomes very, very difficult. Even at this COVID thing that happens, you find a mother could be on the phone with her boss and using her corporate personality to talk to the boss, and then snap at her brother or brother-in-law, whoever, in the back seat straight away as they're discussing something on the line. And then he can scream and start to tell the children at the same time not to stop arguing and this and that. But he touched me first. Nobody touch each other, for the next 6 miles, so on and so forth. So historically, women have had to play many roles, and they have always succeeded in multitasking effectively. Men don't, not so much multitasking so easily. So sometimes, though, people feel that there's a need to sacrifice. This is part of the feminine characteristic, but I have to tell you first, from a psychology perspective, there's no such thing as sacrifice. Everything is an energetic exchange. You don't give up something totally without receiving something totally also at the same time. You see, when it seems to you you're carrying a load that belongs to somebody else, what you're really projecting is a reality that you've likely been living in for a long time. Something that has weighed you down, that you wish you could change, and you couldn't. But if you begin to understand what I'm trying to teach you, the stoic way of living, and with the divine energy and opening the third eye apparatus, you start to pay attention to the fact that you might be an alchemist, and you might be the key, a catalyst of this divine feminine energy. So it's your job really to absorb unconscious energies and feelings and to transform them. The more effective you are at knowing this and doing this, the more effective you are as a magician. Keegan says, "Hi, Dr. Mel. You were talking about people who feel they don't deserve. What are the key ways to unblock that?" And create a deserving sense of self and energy. What time is it? 1 hour. Let's spend a little time talking about it. Why not? What the hell? Let's see where it takes us to. If you think that you have a problem or an issue or a situation where you don't feel like you deserve, or unconsciously you don't feel like you deserve. Let's go on an imaginary journey, shall we? Let's do this. Let's start imagining that where you came from. How about we do that? So relax, sit back, pay attention to your breath, sit back in your chair. If you're driving, pull over, please. Don't do this while you're driving. Breathe. I'm not going to hypnotize you, but I'm going to ask you to become very relaxed and close your eyes. Not a good thing to do when you're driving. So pull over to the side and breathe. Now, pay attention to where the breath goes into you and where the breath goes out. Now, this is the part I need you to practice and become good at. I want you to imagine that there is a mirror in front of you. And that mirror, I don't want you to sit in front of a real mirror. No, I want you to imagine this. And that mirror is reflecting you. Got it? And I want you to be able to create you in front of you. What you're wearing, your face, ladies, whatever you've done with your eyebrows, and if you haven't shaved, it's okay. Just kidding. But your hair, the way it is, exactly the way it is leans this way or that. Your shoulders, right up to here, maybe. Great. Take a deep breath. Form it. Take some time to form it. It will take some time until you get that. And if it's easier for you to close your eyes and do this, then form that mirror image in front of you. All right? Good. At the count of 3, what I want you to do is to move from this perspective, this sense of consciousness, to the mirror, so that you are in your mirror looking back at you. 1, 2, 3. Go into your mirror, and you are in that image looking at the real you from the mirror's perspective. And then notice how beautiful you are. Find things to be beautiful about. Don't go onto the one pimple over here, or the fact that one eyelash is this way. Don't look at all the quote-unquote defects. Just look at your hair or bald areas, whichever the case might be. It doesn't matter. Bald is beautiful too. Solar panel for sex machine. Who knows? Your teeth, if you're smiling, your nose. And notice what a good soul you are. That if you had needed a friend, that you would choose the real you, because you're in the mirror choosing you. This has a magical effect, and I'll tell you how it works in a few minutes. Just do it though. And notice the shoulders, notice the face, and notice the ears, notice the everything, and just go, wow, what a nice person, man or woman, doesn't matter. What a handsome person, or what a beautiful woman you are. It's just perfect. And since you know that you don't have to be beautiful to be accepted, and since you are the kind of person that is not shallow and would look at a person and say, I would choose you. In a million universes, I would still choose you as my friend, because you're honorable, you're kind, and start to come up with at least 5, whatever it is. Honorable, kind, humorous, you have a big nose, I'll let you up to here. Um, I don't know. Eyes. Let it go. You let it go. Let yourself go. I used to do this many times before when I had trouble accepting, and say, "Wow, this is my friend." Now I want you to do something, and this is uncomfortable. I want you, from the mirror perspective, to look back at your eyes. Just look deep into your eyes. You can do it with your eyes closed, and just say this: I love you. Just say it. It's a form of parts therapy, but it's important. I love you. And then you tell yourself, by from the mirror, looking at the real you, you deserve and you will receive more abundance, more love, more health, and more happiness in your life. Day by day, in every way, you deserve more happiness, more health, more wealth, more abundance, more love. You choose whatever it is you want. Love, abundance, health. These are important, and the happiness. And then you watch what will happen. Do this a couple of times a day. Do it 3 or 4 times a day. You'd be surprised what will happen to you. All right? Cool. Just keep doing that. And then slowly let this whole thing dissipate over a period of time, or now even listen to music. You don't have to move back. You just stay there. Let it stay in that image. Don't bring yourself back. And then start moving. Something happens. Now, people say, well, shouldn't I bring myself back out of the mirror and come back? No, don't do that. Every time you can separate, stay separated, and then do all of that. You're beautiful, you're kind. Now, I realize, now I ask you to do it from here, right? Later, you can start from your stomach area, your waist going up. And after that, maybe next week or the week after, don't rush things. Stand in front of your entire naked body if you can. Make sure you're alone because it will be good entertainment for everybody if you're not. But do this and then start to appreciate all the little things on your body as well. And then inside, just that doesn't have to be body. You'll start to feel amazing, Keegan. And yes, the feeling is wonderful and amazing. But something else will happen as well. I can tell you about it because it's okay. The reason why I said don't come back, don't get everything back to normal, is because we don't appreciate ourselves because there's not enough people appreciating us. When they say, oh, it's okay, Mel. I mean, so somebody comes up to me and says, it's okay, Mel, you're very handsome, you're very good looking, da 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 da. A part of me goes, right, so on and so forth. In Dobrin's case, try not to emphasize. You came in later, Dobrin. We're not talking about. Don't talk about the little defects, okay? Don't talk about the little defects. Talk about the bigger things that you can see, and so you start to pay attention to that as well. Now everyone's going to associate you with a little thing. Why did you bring that up? That's kind of sad. So the point is, when you externalize and you start to see and you get good at it and you separate and separate and separate, soon you will begin to see yourself as you walk in society. At some point, this whole COVID thing is going to end. We're going to meet people. We're going to interact. We're going to do things for finishing contracts and everything else. Excuse me. And so, and you are going to finish your production and you're going to get people together. But also, oh yeah, in your case, you know what's going to happen? Thank you. Experience this in my KY session. You're talking about KY jelly, or what is that? That's great. That's good. Uh, LKY? No, what are KY sessions? But anyway, Keegan, what's going to happen for you is that you're going to be able to see yourself while you're in the acting mode, while you're in production mode. You begin to realize that you need to grimace a certain way, you need to be able to talk a certain way, and you'll be able to focus in a different way as well. In other words, you become a director of you, along with the director directing you. It becomes amazing. And also when you're taking exams, those of you who have children who are Dharampal, I'm still waiting for you to tell me what KY is. I'm actually curious, and I'm sure a lot of people are. So so what will happen is you start to become more aware of how you move, and something inexplicable happens. All of that after about 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks plus, becomes or translates as charisma. You don't know why, but it just projects you like you wouldn't believe. Oh, Kundalini Yoga. Okay, got it. I got it. You know, if you leave me with abbreviations like KY, my brain goes and starts to. I didn't say I was innocent by any means. I thought the same kind of yoga. I thought is same kind of yoga. I don't understand what that sentence means. What do you mean? Kundalini yoga is when you start to raise that serpent, coiled up energy inside of you as it goes up into some kind of awakening. But then again, if you're not ready, and if your third eye apparatus is not ready, and you're not, you haven't trained yourself to experience the world around you, you can lose your marbles as well and go off the deep end. You got to be able to maintain a perspective. And so even though you see these things, even though you see what is happening to the earth, even though you know who is in control and doing what, you still maintain a little bit of perspective, so that you know when to dive in, when not to be crazy, when to start packing your bags and moving your ships to Mars. You start to be able to look for solutions in the middle of a sea of situations or problems. And then you become a little bit more agile in the way in which you conduct yourself in the world without getting yourself into a lot of trouble. Yeah. So for you, Keegan, it's going to be amazing. I don't know how many people feel the same way. Yes, I met Wim Hof himself. He was part of the whole A-Fest thing. And he's quite amazing. Actually, I was doing Wim Hof before I heard of Wim Hof. I was, we call it Tumo yoga. And Tumo yoga raises the temperature, and then they do it. He does it through a form of breathing. They do it through breathing, but through a specialized form of meditation. Look it up. There's a lot of people teaching it, but make sure that they are people who are trained. I started training in Tumo yoga probably when I was 17, and I don't know how. I don't know who. I cannot point you to anything except to tell you that I remembered. And I remembered how to do it. And in some way, I was influenced by the writing of Tuesday Lobsang Rampa as well. When I was 9, 10 years old. Some of it is fiction, some of it is reality. Who knows? I don't know. It was preparing me for what was to happen to me when I was 18 years old and had the problem I had. Some people say breathing method can make you brain damage. More oxygen doesn't do that. Your body knows. If your body has too much oxygen, you pass out at some point. You become lightheaded and pass out. It's as simple as that. You cannot cause brain damage. You can cause brain damage by stopping breathing. Yes, yeah, because your brain needs oxygen to survive. So breathing can create psychedelic experiences as well. And directed psychedelic experiences with directed breathing can also do the same. An 8/8 rhythm, not a 4/4, but an 8/8 rhythm with breathing builds immense amount of chi, but you got to be able to practice, because it gets you so hot that you feel like your chest is collapsing on itself. But you got to be able to harness and play with these things. And the more you harness them, the more you can feel them, the more you can use them for healing of people, animals, plants, the environment, the air. Send your energy out to water, and you'd be surprised what you can do to fishes and life all around you. Do it with the water you drink. Do it with the water you drink. You'd be surprised. With the water you drink, you can even charge it with the energy that you do. Look up the works of Masaru Emoto. Look up the works of the German scientists who continued the work, Messages from Water. There's so many documentaries on this. Michiko Hayashi, who was the assistant for Masaru Emoto, we are going to, I keep telling her this is the year we're going to do it, and I hope we will have a chance to create a film in tribute for Masaru Emoto's work. And he tirelessly went around healing the planet. Planetary healing and what we call terraforming are related, just to let you know. Is it possible to terraform Mars? Yes. Is it possible to do it in less than 100 years? Yes. Is it possible to do it in 10 years? Absolutely. And it's very easy to do. It's just that I did the research that no one else was doing. That's all. People were working on raising the nitrogen levels on Mars through these ceramic membranes, turning oxygen and water, oxygen and hydrogen into water, etc., etc., etc. But there's an easier way. Just no one is talking about it because the scale of energy involved is huge until now. There's a lot of things we can do with that as well. We'll talk about it one day, what my foundation is working on. And a lot of it has to be kept quiet for now because there are not nice people out there who would like to see this not work. So, but when you try to save the planet, there are a lot of people that don't want to be saved. When you try to save people from the pain and misery and suffering, they're used to the pain, they're used to the misery, they're used to the suffering. They cannot deal with living in a happy world. So they self-sabotage and they create pain. With the Silva method, I know can help other people. Silva method? Yeah. Silva used to be called Silva mind control, but they didn't like the mind control aspect of it all. But really, it's all about controlling your mind. The more in control you are of your thoughts and directedness, the more easy it is for you to be able to move forward. Eileen, welcome to the program as well. So Dobrin, I hope that helps you. Keegan, I hope that helps you. If you have any other questions, we should think about coming to the end of this program. The Jose is spelled with a J, but Jose Silva is an object you use on yourself in your garden also. Margarita, glad to hear you too. Actually, shall we hear you, Margarita? You want to get on air? Just say yes or no, so that we can say something. Introduce yourself to the world. Would you like to? Just for a few minutes. If you would like to be part of this program, there is a link here. Just go to that link that you see down in the column. It appears both in Facebook as well as YouTube, and you can we can chat. How about you ask me one last? 10 minutes. Ask me one last question, anybody, but on air. Would that be good? No tushi. No tushi. What's a no tushi? She speaks Japanese. Notushi. Ah, arigatou gozaimasu. Notushi. Or not too shy. And so, this is the way to do it. I would love to, before shy, I get it. Dobrin, you want to show her what not shy is? Click on that link, come online, say hello to the crowd. Because I got no music today. Yesterday I played the music that was sung by that nurse I told you. When fools, what's it called? When fools fall in fools. No, it's called In Fools Russian. Is it called Fools Russian? I have no idea. Yeah, it wouldn't let me do that. So maybe we can start to pay attention to this. You need a barber first. Wow, so many people have so much excuses. It's crazy. Just a common 50-year-old single mother from Greece. Hello to everyone. We'd like to hear what a common 50-year-old single mother from Greece looks like. From Greece. Keegan. Hello to everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
There's the handsome dude again. Do you wanna do me the honor of being the last person we see before we say goodnight? Because I haven't found good music to replace, because the YouTube has flagged me again one more time. They mistook her voice for a singer in Brazil who sang, because it sounds exactly the same. And she told me the truth. She said she mimicked her voice. I said, wow, holy crap, what a good job. YouTube actually thinks it's you, it's the other person.
That's very good.
Mm.
No, if I sing, I think people will go deaf.
So, hey, let's discuss something that people would love to discuss before they go to sleep tonight. How did this exercise work for you?
That was very good. It was really clear. The visualization takes a bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get that sort of mirror image right, and you change that perspective, it's very, very clear. It actually, I feel quite alive now. So it's good. Yeah, I'll try and keep practicing that.
And there's a part of you that also starts to care about that person. As you.
Yeah, very strange.
It is very strange. Yes.
Yeah. It's something just sort of clicked, and I went, oh, I never experienced that before.
What is today? Today? Today is Thursday?
Today's Thursday.
Tomorrow I'll explain to everybody after they practice with that a lot. You can do this as often as you want. You don't have to limit how you use it. It never gets old. It becomes stronger. And then tomorrow I'll explain what you did and how permanently you affect yourself.
Yeah.
And you go into deserve. What? Deserve? So deservation mode?
Deservation.
I have to invent a new language. What do you call that state?
Deserving.
Deserving. You get into a deserving. It sounds like I'm serving you tonight. We're going to have Keegan come as a deserving for you. There's a word. I don't know what that word is for now, but yeah, you get into that state where everything you deserve, but without being arrogant. You're still being humble and sweet and everything.
Because I sort of look at people in my life, people around, that, again, what you were saying, they work hard, they do things, and it just doesn't happen for them. And then there's some people that they don't do anything, and it's as if everything is just given to them. And I remember you mentioned, something, I think one of the sessions last week, where people who who do, they just have this inner thing where it's just attracted to them. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'm just trying to sort of reverse engineer that, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have these blocks, and they, that story of Allah in Philippines, I think that's pretty incredible, because she went in not knowing, with full confidence, and that confidence brought her an unexpected deal. And also, was that, did they want to sell, or did that influence that?
It influenced. I used Allah as a story, but the story actually took place in the United States.
Oh, okay.
But I, because Allah was the one who asked the question, so I
Oh,
made it
right, I
local
see.
to the Philippines. But it was in the United States, and there are many, 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 many more stories like that.
Yeah.
Um, if you talk to the people who were the greats who were selling all these, Zig Ziglar, I don't know if you remember who he is, motivational guru, but at the same time, sales guru. Um, and who's the other guy who's eternally young, uh, even at
Anthony
age 80?
Robbins?
No, 80,
Oh,
at age 80 something, he still has black hair and black eyebrows and black everything, and he's just raring to go. I'll remember in a minute. I'm trying too hard,
okay.
but it all is part of this whole real chicken soup for the soul
So,
thing, where all of these stories, which are real, by the way, collected and verified. So yes, it's the attitude that changed everything. Your confidence level. You walk in and like you deserve the job, that sort of thing.
yeah.
You walk in for a job interview, you want a job, and you go, "Yes, sir, I really don't think. Please hire me because I think I'm good for you, and I'll lick your toes until eternity." And you don't get the job, right? And then somebody comes in and they smile and they look at you like they always belong there, and you
Mm,
cannot imagine a time they never belonged there. Take a look at your quote unquote lovers from the past, right?
right.
Uh, it's like you cannot imagine a time when you were with them. You cannot imagine a time they were not there. It's like,
Yeah, that's
wow,
true.
it's like it's all meant to be. But then again, if you want to know what mental illness you have, put all of your ex lovers in a row and you'll see what your mental illness is. You see the commonality between all of them. I say, aha, I see. I
I
see a trade
see.
here. A pattern, a
Yes.
pattern emerges. Damn. And then
Mhm.
when you start to do this change your perspective and you start to look at you, well, guess what? That pattern shatters, disappears, because then you'll attract into your life someone you really deserve, someone who can take care of you, love you, expand you beyond belief, and like a rocket waiting for fuel to take off, that kind of thing. So,
Is that is sort of the same principle as how people in the past keep repeating the same patterns in
yeah.
everything that they do?
Put all your lovers in a row, put them all, take a look at them and go, holy, this is my mental illness so far. I've been attracting the same old, same old, same old. So you never know.
And I guess that's also as well in real life, with situations like work,
Yes,
friends,
yes,
people
yes,
who
yes.
tend to. I remember you discussing something before about being ripped off or being taken
Oh,
advantage
so many times. But that's also the pattern. And you know why?
of.
I already know where it came from. And it took me, what, less than 2 months ago to discover why I repeated it. Uh, Actually, a friend of mine, Kelly, provided that mirror that I didn't um, create for myself. Um, and that was because I was struggling between doing all of this for free and charging. Uh, and a part of me wants to be a monk, and yet a part of me knows I'll fail every monk exam. In the book, monks don't talk like that. Monks don't think like that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, screw it then.
Yeah. What is K? What is KY?
Yes, what the hell? A monk would have known Kundalini yoga. Damn.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
me, what can I say?
I'm sorry, I share the same sentiment. I was thinking the same things.
See, so I'm not alone. We're both dirty-minded. Do you wanna ask one final question before we call it a day on
Oh,
anything?
no, I don't know, I just felt the urge to chat after doing that exercise, and you
Great.
welcome somebody to chat. Someone was too shy to speak, but I thought I'll just chat and just say hello.
Awesome. Awesome.
And
Yeah, these people
yeah,
are so shy to speak. I don't know why. Um, if you specifically, and now that I'm looking at you and I'm noticing some energy shift in you just by looking at you, um, tonight, just before you go to bed, I maybe in about a couple of hours or an hour from now, I think, I don't know. Just before you go to bed, you're alone, right? Or no?
no.
Okay.
Oh, when I meditate, I do.
When you
I
sleep,
meditate.
are you alone?
Yes.
You are
I
alone.
mean,
Okay,
no,
good.
no, I'm not alone.
Did you kill her? No, I didn't. No, what do you mean? Like who? No, okay, you don't have to say too much.
When,
The point is, then wait for your partner to fall asleep first. It's important that you be the only one and not interacting yet with anybody.
right, right.
So wait till you hear the, da da da. Then I want you to do this. I want you to lay on your back, right, and do the mirror thing. This time the mirror is in front, of course, over your head, like that, right?
Right.
So and leave it a comfortable distance from you. It can be closer, it can be further. It's up to you. And again, change position so that you're looking down at you as you're sleeping. All right. And there are some things you've been grappling with, um, problems, issues, not knowing how to do this, which one to attack first, how to prioritize the something you want help with. Uh, and just as you look at yourself and you say to yourself as you're closed, do this with your eyes closed, by the way, and say to you from the reflection to the one
Reverse.
sleeping,
Okay.
yeah, from
Yeah.
the top, um, and say um, to yourself, by the time you wake up in the morning, I will have given you all your answers. You deserve answers. You deserve creative solutions. Just that. You deserve. You are amazing. And thank you. Thank yourself for having stood up to so much, having made it through this far, for all the beautiful things you've done for the day, for your partner, for your mother, for your father, for everybody that you've helped. Just thank them and say, what an amazing person you are. And then allow yourself to drift to sleep. Then you'll start noticing tomorrow is going to be a very special day for you. Get some piece of paper with you and a pen. Keep it with you at all times.
Always.
Always.
Always. It's just
Stuff will
the
fly. Stuff will fly out at you. Stuff will fly out at you.
occupational hazard that always have
Yes,
something to write on
yes,
all
yes.
the time.
Can you believe tonight, just before starting the show, I wasn't going to start the show.
Oh,
Yeah, you know why? Because I figured out how to stop global warming in a way that nobody thought about.
are you able to
Through
share that?
the use of the magnetic fields on the planet. But I cannot share that because
Okay.
I want my foundation to be the one that
Okay.
executes that.
Same with your terraform in
It is
terraforming.
exactly that. It is
Okay.
exactly that. That
Yeah.
if you take a look at the magnetometer and you measure the magnetic field of Mars, it's diminished uh, 100-fold over the last uh, 10,000, 20,000 years.
But is it
And
true there's still water tables underneath in
oh
the
yeah, yeah,
polar
but
areas?
but not enough, not enough.
Okay.
There's a fellow named Immanuel Velikovsky who wrote 12 different books. A physicist, a scientist, a cosmo architect, if you want to call him that. One of them is a book called Worlds in Collision. Immanuel Velikovsky. Worlds in Collision is, I don't know if it's still in print, but if you start to take a look at the book, you'll you begin to realize that the possibility that a large planetary body went near Mars as it was losing its atmosphere because of the magnetic fields, and transported a shitload of water from there to Earth.
Right.
Hence, 40 days of rain on the planet. Now, 40 days and 40 nights
That's the same
is
as
a
the Bible, Genesis, right?
is a Hebrew way of saying many days and many nights,
Okay.
not 40, just many days, many
Okay.
nights. Yeah, that's what they mean. So, a whole we at one point didn't have so much water on this planet, not as much as we have right now.
Right.
So you have to take a look at all of this, and then you start to realize that, wait a minute, we're looking in the wrong place, and that the people who are working with HARP, I don't know if you know what HARP is, high altitude atmospheric research projects that the United States is involved in. The antennas are not pointing up; the antennas are pointing down to the magma. They know something that we don't. That it is the magma slowing down the spinning molten
in the
magma coil
center of the Earth.
that causes the magnetic field. And disruptions in the magnetic field can create what we know as portals and explosions and what have you, but blast people across dimensional rifts, if you want to call it that. But before I sound like an idiot and start talking about these things, I should put them all together in a scientific document, and then start to go after the culprits on the planet. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Mel.
Hey, my pleasure. Absolutely. Charles says, I still have your book signed by you, Mel. Take care. Thank you, Charles. How good of you. Josephine is laughing for no reason. Keegan says, I'm on. Yeah. I'm so glad. And she said the same thing too. Dobrin says, when I wake up at 3 a.m., I have many answers and know I need to think in order not to be in the max again. And I know that I don't have to care about anything, as nothing is more important than the peace I feel then. But after a few hours, looks like I forgot all that forgotten and somehow get back again in the pre-recorded wrong programs. He says he forgets. So this is something you can do, and something that Dobrin can do. Keep a piece of, and something I do, keep a piece of paper and a pen next to your bed. And you'll be surprised. The first thing you do when you wake up, don't do anything else. Just write that first idea down. 1 or 2 words, 3 words, 4 words. Have a little light on, so that, little LCD light, so that you'll be able to do that. Or hit your phone and boom, the whole thing comes out. And next thing you know, you're okay. Cool?
Cool.
I feel like sometimes we phase into the state of having knowledge and possibility. We know some things that when we are at our normal state during the day working, we weren't aware of, or doing the self-work. The programming comes back. It will take a lot of repetition. Yes. Chaffee Wood. It's a guy, I think. Chaffee Wood. Anyway, so Keegan.
Yes.
One last question before we go. Any questions? What can I help you with to sleep easier, feel easier, better?
I'll try this.
Yes. This is for answers for tomorrow, so that you'll have the answers.
But no, it's almost my meditation time, so no, I just wanted to say hello.
Great. I'm so glad you took the time to come on board. Come on board anytime. In fact, I was thinking maybe tomorrow we can chat in the afternoon sometime. Sure. I wanted to talk about doing a program together.
Okay, that sounds good.
And maybe together we can recreate Incredible Tales. What do you think?
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah.
Would you like to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's
Ghosts
discuss
and hauntings and the paranormal.
Well,
Absolutely.
there you go. No. I'm not discussing relationships. I'm talking about the actual. But we will talk at some point. You take care of yourself, Keegan. Good. Okay. Always good to talk to you.
Good night. All right. Bye, everybody.
Good night. That was Keegan Kang, and he was good enough to come on the show and start to talk a little bit. I was feeling a little bit tired today because I was a bit drained, and and of course I can't play any music, so it's a little bit difficult to go into a discussion of how I think we should be paying attention to living our lives. And somebody asked me one time, do you have a way or a system of thought or belief that would help you? And what helped you in the past? What I can tell you is that what has helped me in the past may not be the same thing that will help you in the things you want to deal with now. But I know that there had to have been a way for us to center ourselves around a philosophy or belief. I'm not trying to tell you that religion is the way to do it, because sometimes when you get too didactic, things don't work out a little bit. But there was a poet named Max Ehrmann in 1957 wrote a poem, and he's an American man. And in the poem, he wrote these wonderful words. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. When I heard the first part of that poem, I began to realize that there was a way to be, a way to live life that we were not privy to, that we were not given a system of thought, a way in which we could respond that would change our perspective. If you have nothing that you believe in now, if you have nothing that is solid for you now, listen to these words, because they are important. And it affected me when I was 12 and still affects me now, even at this age. And that singular line, speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant, for they too have their story. Wow. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imagining. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness, and beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, there is no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in this noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul, with all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams. It is still a beautiful world. Be careful. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. I read that to myself every night and gave myself a reason to wake up in the morning with joy. Here's another chance. And if I don't succeed, tomorrow's another chance and another chance. We will make mistakes, but it's okay. We will feel pain, but it's okay. It's not our fault. Things will go wrong, but it's not our fault. We always have a chance to do it better again. I want to thank you for listening to this program. It's called Uncommon Sense, and you've been listening to the voice of Dr. Mel Gill. Good night, everyone. Sleep well. Good night, everyone. We will broadcast tomorrow. It'll be the last program for the week. And we start at 9:30 a.m. New York time, 9:30 p.m. Singapore time, 4:30 p.m. Bulgaria time. Good night, everyone.